Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you want to get into human design but you don't know your birth time, I'm going to share a little clip from my online program HD School where I teach human design of some options of what you can potentially try if you're not sure about your birth time. Another one that one of my students suggested is also using a pendulum. Google how to use a pendulum if you don't know what I'm talking about, but potentially using that to break it down to the hour and then break it down to the minute if that's something that would work for you. But otherwise, I'll share kind of the more practical what I do in terms of looking at how the human design body graph changes throughout the day, because it will change, but sometimes throughout the day it will change significantly, like type, strategy, authority, all of that will change several times. And sometimes it'll just be like one or two minor gates that change, so it's not a big deal. So here's the video. I hope it helps. If you don't know your birth time and you try out that tool that I mentioned, let me know. Also, if you know astrologers that specialize in rectification, definitely drop them in the comments below, tag them. I don't know, can you tag people on YouTube? But drop them in the comments below if you've ever worked with an astrologer that does rectification. I would be so fascinated to hear about your experience. I don't know any personally, but I think it's a tool that could be really valuable. And I'll link the tools that I mentioned in terms of the free astrology rectification tool below. I hope this helps you. I hope you have fun with it. Enjoy the video.
What do I do if someone doesn't know their birth time? So I'll run the chart, and once you've run a chart, if you've run it for one time, you can always just go up here to body graph, go to edit, and I would start it at 12:01 a.m. And I would look to see what it's like. So, okay, I can see the chart. They're a manifesting generator. I will generally look at the sun and the moon. There's other ones that can definitely change, but just when I'm first looking through things to see if there's major changes. So I'll go back and I'll edit it and I'll look at it for PM, 12:01 p.m. And so there's already been a little bit of a change. The moon went from 7 to 29. And there's probably changes in the unconscious. I didn't look at that side. And then I'll do 11:59 p.m. And again, there's been a big change. The moon is now in 59. So the moon will change 2 to 3 times a day. So that's not surprising. But what can have a big impact is whether or not it's connected with a center, right? So if the moon, let's say, was in gate 45 and it changed, that means that it would no longer be connected to a motor, so they would no longer be a manifesting generator. Or if, 59, they must have 59 somewhere else in their chart, obviously. Yeah, they have it in the North Node. But let's say they only had the moon in 59, they only had 59 in the moon. It wasn't anywhere else. And as the moon changed, that means that that channel would change and there would no longer be definition in the sacral. So I hope that makes sense of how the planetary movements affect definition. If it doesn't, don't worry, it will eventually. But that's what you want to look for, is big changes in the centers and especially in the type. And at first, I know it's a lot to look at. So it's easy to just look here at the type. Check out the incarnation cross, check out the profile, check out the authority, and check out the type, and just see if that changes throughout the day. Because when you're initially just working with readings, that's good enough to look at those things, right? Because you're not going to be going into detail with all of the planets and everything, or even the gates probably at the beginning. So that's one way of doing, is looking at it throughout the day, and you can make it more precise or whatever, right? I usually just run 3 charts to start off with, but just to see if there's massive changes, but it could change more frequently than that. So you could, run a chart every hour if you wanted to. There's this website called 64 Keys. I believe they have a tool on it where you can run a chart every minute. I honestly find this just a difficult program to use, so I personally don't use it. But check it out. If it's something that makes sense to you, go for it. And that's one way that you can look to see what changes throughout the day. The other option, and I think this is really fun, so if someone doesn't know their birth time, they can see an astrologer to get a rectification done. And it's a process of them looking at events in their life to figure out what their birth time was based on planetary, alignments, all that stuff. But there's this really cool free tool. So it's something that someone could just initially try out called rectification. So it's on astromix.net. So you would enter in your details. Whatever. Let's just keep it as that. And let's say for your birth time, if you know it's within 10 minutes, you could leave it at 10 minutes. If you have no idea what time you were born, put it to 12 hours. And then, select your birth details. Let's say this person is born in London, and I'll put in my email and continue. And so this pop-up is going to happen, and it will give you an option to choose between some different things. So for example, Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Gemini, Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Cancer. So the moon changes on this date. So you need to read through these and decide which one sounds most like you, or if you can't choose, I cannot choose. Continue. And then when you're looking here, it's going to go through each of the risings or ascendants. So you can look at these different qualities or characteristics and choose which one is the most likely. And if it's not, this is a rough tool, okay? If you really want to get it done properly, go and see a proper astrologer that specializes in rectification. But I just want to show you this tool because I think it's fun and I think it can be helpful. And it's something that you can help people with. If they're like, I don't know my birth time, what do I do? You can be like, hey, go check out this tool. So it's just nice to be helpful, I think. So based on your birth details and the planetary alignments and whatever, there are going to be a whole bunch of things that you can either say, yes, these have happened, maybe, or they might happen. I don't know, unlikely, or definitely not. So love bond with a foreigner, secret love bond, extramarital relationship, early marriage, numerous abortions, possession of many children, all of these things. And these are going to change. So I would actually recommend going through and doing this for yourself and just see what you end up with. But the events that are going to happen in your life, or the possible events, are going to be different based on your birth time. So have a look through this tool. It's just kind of fun to play with, and it tells you how to do that. So let's say, whatever, I'm just going to answer a couple of these things. And high material wealth. Let's make this person wealthy. Why not, right? Anyways, so we're going to continue. And then there are a bunch of events, and you can fill out the events. And so, what month or year did you get married? Did you get divorced? Did you have your first child? Deaths, these kinds of things. So you can enter those in. And then when you do, I'm not going to be able to do this well because I'm not going to be accurate anyways. So I'll just continue. I don't know if it's going to work. Yeah, it failed because I didn't enter anything in. Anyways, if you enter in the details, it will give you a birth time. And even here, it says the most reliable option is at 7:02 p.m. plus or minus 2 hours. So it's kind of interesting. Anyways, it's a tool I recommend you playing with. I think it's something fun, and I think it's a way that you can be helpful to people, because sometimes this is really upsetting. People discover human design and they're so excited, and then they don't know their birth time. So I think it's a really great way that you can offer something to someone if they don't know and they maybe don't have the resources to work with an astrologer one-on-one.